You just gotta grind.
Do it, and do it, and do it, and do it. That's the hack. The hack is gonna fucking suck.
I feel like this next generation is coming up, and I don't mean to smash all of them, but they seem like a bunch of pussies to me. Because of that, there's never been more opportunity than there is right now. If you're a fucking savage and you get out there and you grind hard and you want it bad enough, you can run all these guys over, man.
To be successful at anything, the truth is you don't have to be special. You just have to be what most people aren't. Consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. No shortcuts.
You've made no progress.
Get back to fucking work.
None. You never moved. You might even be further from your goal than you were.
It's time to get back to work. Stop hearing yourself talk. Get off the podcast. Don't be on social media too much. Cut out all the fucking noise. Get back to the fucking mental lab.
You want to see what you do when you're tired. Let me see how you push yourself. Come on, man. Get up. Get up again tomorrow. Get up again tomorrow. Get up again tomorrow. The next day. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Keep going. How long can you maintain a positive attitude?
There's no hacks, bro. It's you against you. You against you. And if you misunderstand that, you have a real problem.
And everybody tells you you have to find balance. You have to find balance. You have to find balance. The easiest way to describe it, there is no balance.
Yeah, balance is important for a lot of fucking people. It is. But if you want to fucking go to that edge where people do not like you, don't understand you, question everything you fucking do, you've arrived.
Someone will save you, but it's you. Future you, the better you. The person that you've been waiting to become.
No one's gonna fucking come to help me. No one's gonna fucking come to help me. It's fucking me against me, period. And so I had to man up. And I said, the first thing I gotta start doing is facing every fucking fear I have.
There's a moment when every boy realizes no one's coming to save him. And that's when he becomes a man. And some boys never get there and stay children forever. This stuff matters because no one's effing coming to save you.
No one's coming. No one. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. It's up to you.
They're not gonna save you. You gotta fucking save yourself, my friend. So that's when all that reality hit me when I went to Buffalo to see my dad and I drive home. I was like, man, this rest of your life is gonna suck. It is gonna suck, not because you're gonna be a loser, but because you're gonna fucking finally start to win. And winning is not easy, my friend.
I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and impossible. The fact that something seems impossible shouldn't be a reason to not pursue it. That's exactly what makes it worth pursuing. Where would the courage and greatness be if success was certain and there was no risk? The only true failure is shrinking away from life's challenges.
Keep pushing through things that suck. And I would love to say like, keep pushing through adversity, but this isn't adversity. This is just things that suck. It's one level below adversity. Adversity is when you're having a challenge. This is just something that's gonna suck and you're gonna have to push through it.
It's time to get back to work. Stop hearing yourself talk. Get off the podcast. Don't be on social media too much. Cut out all the fucking noise. Get back to the fucking mental lab.
There's some internal drive that you either have or you don't have. And if you have it, you won't quit. And if you don't have it, you're gonna quit.
The bigger the wall that you have to get through is, as soon as you get past that one big wall, you then can use that wall as the evidence for why you can jump over the next wall, because that will be the biggest one.
They think it's a permanent fix. They think it's something that is a constant. They think that maybe once I get it, I'm gonna hold on to it. And that's the thing about that I was telling you, that I always talk about. Nothing is permanent. And a lot of times you have to learn to perform without motivation. You have to learn to perform without purpose. You have to learn to perform a lot of different things. And that's what people think. They think I need to have this motivation to work out, to study, to be better. So if they don't have it, they just don't fucking do it. And that's where you fail. You have to learn to train your mind well beyond motivation. If you have motivation, that's great. That's some kindling to the fire. All it takes is a little bit of fucking spark, you can burn the whole forest up. But motivation, you have to learn to exist without it. You have to be your best self when you're least motivated. And that's the tricky part about all that shit. Motivation is just a word. You have to have these different things in your mind on where you want to go and know that motivation is not going to get me there. Because I'm not going to always be motivated.
Because the more discipline you have in your life, the more freedom you will end up with. So if you lack the discipline to exercise and eat healthy, you will end up being a slave to disease. If you lack the discipline to work hard, save your money, you will end up a slave to finances. If you lack the discipline to manage your time correctly, you will end up with no free time. If you have self-discipline, if you have the discipline to save your money and work hard and invest your money properly, if you have the discipline to manage your time correctly and not waste a bunch of time, if you have the discipline to exercise and eat healthy, you will end up with freedom. And I know it's a counterintuitive, it's contrarian, but I've seen this over and over and over again. If you want freedom in your life, you have to have discipline.
Those days when I'm tired or worn out or just basically sick of the grind, what do I do on those days? I go anyways. I get it done, even if I'm just going through the motions. I go through the motions. I don't really want to work out. I work out. I really don't want to hammer on a project. I hammer on the project. Don't really want to get up and get out of bed. I get up and get out of bed. Now, these could be signals that you need some time off. And those signals might be right. They could be correct. But don't take today off. Not today. Wait until tomorrow. Don't give in to the immediate gratification that is whispering in your ear. Shut that down. Do not listen to that little voice. Instead, go through the motions. Lift the weights, sprint the hill, work on the project, get out of bed. Now, as an overall rule, I do not like procrastination. You need to get things done. But if you are going to rest, that is one thing that you should procrastinate on. That's the one thing I want you to put off until tomorrow. And if, when tomorrow comes, you still feel like you need to rest or you need to take a break, then okay. But the chances are you won't need that rest. Chances are you will realize that the desire to rest was just weakness. It was just the desire to take the path of least resistance, the downhill path, the easy path. And by simply going through the motions, you overcame that path. And you stayed on the righteous path, the disciplined path. You stayed on the war path, which is right where you know that you belong.
So like patience, for example, most goals are attainable if you expand the time horizon, even enormous ones. Like you can do anything in 10 years.
You could walk to the moon.
You could do, there you go. You can do anything. And so for me, I would say, a naturally impatient person. Like I tend to want things immediately now. And you know what? You probably are too. But once I defined patience as figuring out what to do in the meantime, it allowed me to control what I did. Because now, like you and I are being patient for your stock investments. Right now, as we're on this podcast, we're being patient for that because we're doing things in the meantime. And so whenever I felt impatient and wanted to change course, I had to just redefine what do I need to do today. And if you are sad and impatient, then it means that right now you need to learn what the option is that you need to go pursue. And then that makes it very much under your control.
In my experience, I don't care how big a fella is. I don't care how tough he is in a ring where there's rules and there's referees looking out for stuff. I don't care how much he works out. I don't care how much he walks around without a shirt on. I don't care how big his tattoos are. The louder he is, the more insecure he is inside. And when I see...
Very few decisions are final. Even something like buying a house. should I buy this house? Oh my gosh, it seems if you buy a house and you decide it wasn't the house that you wanted, you sell the house. It's like, now look, could you get caught in a bad market? And that can absolutely happen. So you need to be smart about your decisions that you make. But most things are not as final as they seem. Most things you're going to be able to, and you paid the realtor, so you lost 3% there. You paid the other realtor, you lost 3%. You had to pay the mortgage fees. So you're going to lose some money. But it's not like you buy $1 million house and then you decide you don't like it. You don't lose $1 million. You lose 80 grand or whatever, and it's okay. 2 years, 3 years, you get it back. So people think of decisions as being permanent.
Everybody else feels, or to me, it always seems like everyone else has got it together. Because I get to see only what you choose to say, only what I'm around you doing that I get to see, whereas I get to observe my own inefficiency and foibles 10,000 times a second, right? I get to watch the texture of my own mind be completely unresponsive and useless. I see every single prideful decision, every single lie that I tell myself, every single time I make a promise and don't keep it. But I don't get to see that from everyone. So I'd always presume, because of this asymmetry, that everybody else had it sorted and I didn't. And it also made me think that everybody else's opinion was this perfectly balanced, well-researched, beautifully. They had me nailed down to a T. And what they were telling me was the truth. They could see something in me that I couldn't. And after a little bit of time and a good bit of building up of self-confidence, I realized that that's not the case.
Like,
it feels like hell. It feels like shit to do the thing, to fail, to not feel like anybody cares about you, to not even know that there's going to be glory in retrospect. It feels despondent and destitute and sad and alone, and I get it.
Just shut up and let me enjoy this pain. I don't want anything to numb it. I don't want anything right now. Because what I had done was I just, in my mind, and people will take this wrong and take it as wrong as you want to, I don't really care. I had just climbed a mental wall that was amazing. And I didn't want anybody to take that pain away from me at that point, because that was all confirmation.
What if? A lot of times I'll be in a 200-mile run or something like that, and I'm all jacked up. Body's broken, mind's broken, spirit's broken. I started to say, what if I can pull this off? When I first walked into the Navy SEAL recruiter's office, he looked at me and said, there's only been 35 African Americans in 70 years make it through. You know what I said to myself? What if I can be the 36th? It's the what if I can pull off a fucking miracle. What if I can become someone that no one thinks I can be? And just me talking about that, I have the hair going up on my arms, because it makes me just like, what if?
Talking about the thing and doing the thing, vie for the same resources, allocate yours appropriately. That's the way it works as well. That's the way that the brain works. You can actually get these kicks of dopamine by telling your friends about, I'm going to be a Navy SEAL, I'm going to start my training next week, it's going to be great, I'm going to feel like this.
It feels good. It feels good to talk about that shit, man. It actually makes you feel good, makes you feel proud, all that shit. But guess what happens? That alarm clock goes off at 4 a.m. to train. I don't want to be a SEAL today, or I don't want to be whatever today. I'll start tomorrow. And that's the usual pattern of people's lives. That's why I talk about clearing out the mind. Until you really want to do something, you're always going to be a talker. You're always going to run your fucking mouth.
Right, this is a term that we hear for someone that's addicted, someone that's an alcoholic, someone that's physically let themselves go, someone that's put themselves into a situation with their finances or their work or whatever, where they reach rock bottom. But when the excuses all go away, and people can actually confront the fact that this is all because of me, and it hurts, but is also unbelievably empowering. Because if these problems are because of me, then I'm capable of fixing these problems. So even though extreme ownership hurts and is painful, it's also liberating, because now you have control over your fate and over your destiny, and that is a glorious thing.
Being able to think for yourself and treating it like a muscle, I think, is a smart way to consider it, because in the beginning it's really, really hard.
You've been resting on societal norms and the way you've dealt with past trauma and your parents' expectations and what all of your friends do and what's accepted and all of this stuff for so long that when it first comes to you needing to step on that muscle, it's like trying to move your ears. Like, all humans have got muscles that can move their ears, but because no one works it as a child, they just atrophy away. And this is the ear muscle of personal growth. You don't have to feel good about it. You just have to keep going. The feeling will pass, but you will remain. You are greater than your feelings. Going to bed late and waking up early to work for a few days won't kill you. You're not going to burn out. You're doing what it takes. If you're one of those people that push work-life balance, just remember, the people who like working a lot don't care. I've never regretted trying harder at anything ever. Hard times last long, but an epic story feels like a lifetime.
Your excuses will destroy you and take everything that you ever wanted from you if you let them.
Doesn't sound like a friend.
No, it's definitely not a friend. It's definitely not a friend. It can seem like a friend, just like your friend that keeps feeding you drinks at the bar can seem like a friend, but are they really helping you in any way, shape, or form? No, they're not. They're not. So when your excuses make you feel a little bit better about the fact that you didn't execute on what you needed to execute on, then they can make you feel better, but they're not helping you. They're not helping you at all.
This world we live in is tough. It's tough. It will beat you down. The world and the life that we live in is the ultimate competitor. It will try to take you out. It will find your weakness and it will fucking just hammer you.
It's like a personal curse.
100%. So if I can help you build belief, build confidence to the point where nothing can hurt you because you know exactly who you are. You've faced your demons. You've been able to go on an audiobook in your mind. Maybe you didn't write a book, but in your mind, you were able to hear all your past traumas. You were able to listen to them. You're able to fucking say, okay, now I can now talk to people about what I went through. I'm no longer embarrassed. I'm no longer ashamed. Being ashamed is one of the biggest things that kill people nowadays. In their minds, kill them from moving forward. I'm ashamed of myself. Don't ever be ashamed of anything you've done in your life. Face it, fix it, make it better. We are humans. But then again, if you always think that we're humans, you will always just be a human and always make the same fucking mistakes. You must take this knowledge that you learn from all this shit, this knowledge. So I'm just trying to give people that strength to go in the archives of your life. Because while you're probably fucked up, it's probably something happened to you in your life. Go through the archives, dig it up, study it, and then use it for yourself. That's the main purpose for me right now.
Because if you started diets and you failed, you start working out and you failed, if you just make it longer every time before you fail, you're still making progress and you're still doing something that everyone else isn't doing. And that is the biggest meta indicator that you possibly can, is because everyone sucks. Like, so many people are mediocre. Like, half of the United States is in debt. They don't even have it. Like, they're negative net worth. Just saying different than that, the bar isn't high.
Well, I believe that you get to build belief. Belief is like, there's an after school special belief where the mom says, believe in yourself, and that's all great. But there's also a built belief. And the built belief is one where you are constantly, like for me, I came from a bad place. How I build belief is through the daunting tasks I put myself through. So that's proof positive that I can. So it correlates. And that's how this piece of shit kid that I once thought I was built belief by saying, I was in 3 hell weeks. I went to Ranger School. I tried out for Delta Selection.
Undeniable stack of proof.
That is proof, motherfucker. So whenever you think you can't, the confidence comes from the thing that you built. You must build belief. You must build confidence. It can't be like, hey, I'm gonna go knock that shit out. You gotta look over here and say, I can knock that shit out. It's belief, and it's built on what you put in to yourself. So every morning starts with a run. And that's because that's the one thing I hate to do more than anything in the world. So that's like my cup of coffee. And I'm all about armoring yourself. So the second you leave your house, and the second you open your phone, the second you do any of that shit, you are now letting in poison and cancer. So I make sure a lot of things you can't avoid. So as I get up, I start to armor plate my mind and body. Like a person's going to war, you put your body armor on. That's what I'm doing on that run. I'm waking up and I'm giving myself all this armor. So when I come out in the world, and I look at that phone, I'm ready. I'm not waking up late. I'm not rushing around. I'm not disorganized because I know I'm gonna get hit in the fucking mouth. There's an art to getting hit in the fucking mouth. And that is why these things are important. You have to wake up and you have to give yourself belief. You have to give yourself confidence. It starts with that run.
So sadness comes from a lack of options, or rather a lack of perceived options. And that's why it feels like hopelessness, because you don't know what to do. But when I realized that sadness meant that I didn't know what to do, it meant that another way that I could define sadness was ignorance, and that is solvable. And so whenever I feel sad now, it's been my trigger to immediately think, what do I not know? What option do I not see? Because the opposite of that is anxiety, which is you have many options and you have few priorities. Look, you have many paths that you could pursue and you just don't know which one. And so being able to operationalize what these emotions felt like. So if you feel sad, it just means that you need to go learn more. And that you can do. And then all of a sudden, the learning more becomes the option, and then you don't need to feel sad anymore.
It just takes work. Shitloads and shitloads of work. Every time I try and dress it up or cut a corner, I get brutally reminded the work just needs doing. The work doesn't care who you are. It just cares that it gets done.
When you meet people at a young age, so I had a kid at a young age when I was in the worst possible place in my life. So when you're in a bad place, you're not gonna meet a Kish. You're gonna meet a person that's very similar to who you are at that time. And then you bring a child into this world. And as you start to move up in this world and get better, and you realize I need to get better, you try to pull that person along with you. A lot of times they don't want to come where you're going. And it creates a bad environment. You have to want it. You have to want to be better. And it starts off with you have to have pride in yourself. You have to have pride in yourself. You have to have, there's something about you, whether it's your last name, whether it's just the smallest thing, you have to be proud of yourself. And if you have no pride in yourself, I can't give it to you.
Because you're always going to compromise. You're always going to fold.
Always. I'm very proud of myself. That's why when people said, you know way you can do better than Can't Hurt Me. Roger that. We'll fucking see.
And one of my favorite ones is, and I say this all the time to Layla, like whenever we're getting to some sort of like mini complaint, it's like, you know, if you zoom out far enough, you can't see the earth. So we're talking about like, oh man, they're going to mess up this order on this vendor's, blah, blah, blah. I was like, you know, if you zoom out far enough, you can't see the earth. It's just like, it just puts everything immediately into perspective of how ridiculous some of the things that we're concerned about are.
Somebody asked me the other day, what did I learn about myself from the highs and lows of my life? The highest point of my life and the lowest point of my life, what did I learn about myself? And I said, I learned that I don't let the highs and the lows affect me too much. Because we're gonna have wins, we're gonna have losses. We're gonna have successes, we're gonna have failures. We're gonna have good nights, we're gonna have bad nights. We're gonna have good relationships, we're gonna have bad relationships. We're gonna have good ideas and bad ideas. We're gonna make money, we're gonna lose money. All these things are gonna happen. And if you oscillate emotionally up and down drastically, it's gonna be problematic. So finding a good, stable, centered way to be and look at the world and take everything that you see with a little bit of a grain of salt and don't get swayed too drastically in one direction or the other, you're gonna be okay. And if I was to try and sum up some of this idea about being a man or being a good human, It's like those books. I wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. That, number one, take responsibility for what you're doing. Take ownership of your world. Take ownership of your life. There's number one. Number two, the second book, Dichotomy of Leadership. Be balanced. Be balanced. Don't be extreme. Extreme, look, you have to sometimes get out there in the fringes a little bit. Occasionally, you probably had some business situations where you're like, all right, I gotta let go half of my staff right now. That's an extreme move, but that's how we're gonna start. Do you have to do that sometimes? Yes, you do. But don't let that be where you live. Live in the center, live in a stable area, and then finally discipline equals freedom.
Life. What is life? What the fuck is your life? Are you happy with it? And if so, is just the intake and outtake of breath that makes you put a smile on your face? That's something your fucking mother gave you. You haven't earned that. What have you done with your life to make it something else besides the normality of everybody else? The intake and the outtake of what you call life is nothing more than time. And unless done something with, it's forgotten about. There's no footprint of your existence left for anyone else to follow. Life is time. And a life that's remembered, where a footprint is followed behind in footsteps of inspiration and motivation, is when time is met with opportunity and action. They collide to be a life of remembrance. The problem is, most people don't have a plan. And without a plan of your own life, you become the plan of someone else's life. You're not running the day. The day's running you. The differential between those people is belief. One person with belief overrides 100 people with just intent. Intent is thought process, thinking, wargaming it, never putting a foot forward, never putting their face or their name to the fire. Belief is going after and figuring it out along the way. This workout is going to bring that belief back in your life. It's a back workout. And after this workout, not only will you have a stronger back, you have belief and confidence put into action. Life. No longer is your life filled with stop signs, yield signs, and halts and this shit, and fucking unauthorized motherfucking signs. Life begins now. If it doesn't begin now, your life is fucking over. Welcome to the Chamber of Belief, aka the motherfucking gym. If you guys don't start believing in yourselves, your life will be nothing for anyone to ever follow or want. You have to believe what you're doing is making a difference, because it fucking is. That's what I love about this, guys. It's the middle of the set. It's like the journey of your life. It's like you're born, you lift the weight up. It feels light at first. And as you keep going, it gets harder and harder and harder. So what happens is your physical strength has left the building. The only thing left to override the differential of continuing the journey or stopping the journey is the mental strength. And you start to develop that. And mentally, you have a number in your head you're going for. Even though your body's physically hit failure, you keep pushing past mentally. 3 more. And when you finish it, you're like, God damn, man. I'm so glad I believed in myself. I'm so glad I didn't sell myself short, because at the end of the day, if you don't believe in yourself, what can you ever expect to? You guys must be the now of what you want to be later. It starts right now. And if you're not doing the now, don't ever expect the later to be the person you want to look in the mirror. Everyone's like, oh, later in life, I want to do this. Later in life, I want to do that. Later in life is turning around, looking in the mirror right now. That's the later in life. And unless that turnaround is something in progression, later in life ain't gonna be anything different. The belief, when you turn around, you're gonna see something that put a smile on your face. It's gonna make you turn around the next day for action. Turn belief into productivity. Otherwise, why are you in here, man? You in here to grow what? What the fuck are you in here for? Think, guys. Think of where you want to be before you start where it is now. It's too hard, man. The journey is too fucking hard. You guys start trying to follow someone else's path to success. You guys are dazed and confused. You must travel your individual path to success. Someone else's path's already been done. It's time for you to incorporate what you believe in. Make your own fucking path. But that's the workout, guys. Fucking exhausted right now. Oh, and I feel like shit, worn out, no energy. I can't wait to go to sleep. Seriously, I feel like my heart's gonna explode right now. It's not a comfortable feeling at all. I'll tell you what, the feeling I feel right now, as bad as it feels, is a fucking hell of a lot better feeling than a life where you throw the towel in. That's something you never recover from. Tomorrow morning, I'll wake up stronger. I'll feel alive. And I'll have the belief and confidence backing me up. After a good night's rest, I can only get better. When the towel's down in life, there's no more rounds, man. You threw it in. I feel like shit right now, but I can pick the towel back up. I'm gonna be stronger tomorrow, the next round. Life, guys, it's a plan of action. If you don't have the plan, I guarantee you someone's gonna use you as part of their fucking plan. Stop fucking going about the day as a servant. Become the master. Run your day and stop having it run you. Believe in yourself. Be that one of 100 that has a belief instead of just fucking jaw-jab talk of intent. Huge differential there. Differential is somebody just breathing life, and the other one taking the most of the opportunity of time of life. Remembrance, otherwise forgotten. Greg Plitt, help me stay fit. So fucking tired, I forgot his backpack on. Greg Plitt, putting the shirt on. Still though, both times help me stay fit. Have a good night. Wake up stronger. Enjoy life.